Hi and welcome to Jenna Guides. In this video I'm going to talk about the hardware components you need to build a computer. There are 8 essential hardware components: the case, the power supply, also called the power supply unit or PSU, a motherboard sometimes referred to as a MOBO or M, O, B, O, a central processing unit or CPU, often commonly referred to as a chip, RAM or random access memory, often just called memory, a hard disk drive, generally abbreviated as HDD, but these days there's a substitute for the HDD, and that is the SSD or solid state drive, but I'll discuss more on that later. You'll also need an optical drive in order to load programs that come on disk to your hard drive. And last, you need a graphics card or what's called a GPU for graphics processing unit. Just to reiterate, there are 8 essential hardware components: a case, a PSU, a motherboard, a CPU, RAM, a hard drive, an optical drive, and a GPU. Now that you have the 8 essential hardware components down, let's talk about a few other essentials that you may need. One of them is a software essential. No matter what programs you want to run on your new computer, you're going to need an operating system like Windows. If all the hardware I just talked about equates to your brain housed in the case or your skull, the operating system is like your consciousness. Without an operating system, your computer is essentially a dumb box of electronic components with little clue as to what to do with itself. Beyond the operating system, there are other hardware essentials. The first is a cooling solution, a means to keep all those heat-generating components in the case from melting down. Now, I don't consider it essential, not because it isn't important. It isn't essential because generally the case and other important components come with a cooling solution, generally in the form of fans. This video series is designed for beginners, so I'm going to assume you're not overclocking. But if you plan to overclock, then the cooling solution is very important. Generally, the stock fan that comes with a CPU isn't good enough to keep an overclocked CPU cool enough to operate properly, and that can cause damage to itself and other components. The same goes for the other components that generate heat, like the PSU, the GPU, and the RAM. If you're going to be overclocking, you're going to want those items to be optimally cooled also. Now, I'll address cooling principles and solutions in a later video. Of course, a computer isn't very useful without input and output devices. For output, you want a monitor and probably speakers. For input, the most common are a mouse and keyboard. Now, touchscreens are becoming very popular these days, making monitors both an input and an output. However, I'm assuming you're watching this video on a computer, and therefore you already have these items. These items will not affect the performance of your new computer build, so unless you plan to build a new computer in addition to the one that you have, you can simply use these items with the new computer. Just like with the I/O devices, there are definitely components in your existing computer that are worth considering in a new computer build. This can provide you tremendous cost savings and allow you to buy higher end components initially than you otherwise would have on your existing budget. But it's important that you make those decisions on an informed basis. So in a later video, I will go into the components and discuss the different parameters you want to consider and the different principles to utilize in deciding just what to utilize and what to purchase new to get you started with the most optimal build you're looking for your own personal computer usage. So, as always, thanks for watching Jenna Guides, and go ahead and subscribe so that as I post these newer videos, you'll be able to watch those right away.